Well, I mean, I say it again. I mean, the public record of the trial of 2001 brought to my attention, at least, things that were happening in 1998 that would have been a lot more useful to get it in 1998. I've just for myself put together what we knew, what the president could have told the American people in 1997 based upon what we knew. If it was a briefing of the Congress and the American people, here's what we know about bin Laden and al-Qaeda in February 1997. Here's what we know in February 1999. Here's what we know in February of 2001. And most of the information would come from open source documents, and because it would have to be delivered in a public fashion. And I think it obliterates this idea that we had to wait until 9/11 to be able to knock down sanctuaries, to be able to go to the world and get public opinion on our side as well, that we're dealing with somebody who was not trying to attack the French, not trying to attack the Germans, not trying to attack anybody but Americans, and had been very successful dating all the way back to 1992. And we heard in the staff statement something that again, I think we have to understand what was available at the time. But I would say 70% of it was available in February 97. 90% was available in 1999, and 100% was available in February 2001.
As the 1990s progressed, it became clear that bin Laden's terrorist network was unusual, although not unique, in its skill, dedication, and ability to evolve. The 1998 East Embassy attacks, planned attack in Jordan around the millennium, and the attack on the USS Cole suggested a highly capable adversary. Operations carried out by bin Laden's network before September 11th suggested several worrisome traits. 1. Long-range planning. The 1998 attack on 2 U.S. embassies in East Africa took 5 years from its inception. The planning for the attack on the USS Cole took several years. 2. Simultaneous operations. The 1998 attack on the 2 embassies and the Millennium Plots demonstrated that al-Qaeda was able to conduct simultaneous attacks, suggesting sophisticated overall planning. In a statement for the Joint Inquiry Record, RAND's Bruce Hoffman noted that simultaneous terrorist attacks are rare, as few groups have enough skilled operators, logisticians, and planners to conduct such operations. 3. Operational security. Terrorist manuals and terrorist training emphasize that operations should be kept secret and details compartmentalized. Communication security is also stressed. Thus, disrupting these operations is difficult, even if low-level foot soldiers make mistakes and are arrested. Several attacks carried out by bin Laden's operatives occurred with little warning. Even the successful disruption of part of the plot, as occurred during the millennium, does not necessarily reveal other planned attacks, such as an attack on a U.S. warship planned for around the same time. 4. Flexible command structure. Bin Laden's network uses at least 4 different operational styles. A top-down approach employing highly skilled radicals, training amateurs like Richard Reed, the so-called shoe bomber, to conduct simple but lethal attacks, helping local groups with their own plans, as with Jordanian plotters during the millennium, and fostering like-minded insurgencies. Tactics that can be stopped. One type of attack does not necessarily work against the others, if need be. 5. Imagination. Most terrorists are conservative in their methods, relying on small arms or simple explosives. The attack on the USS Cole, however, was a clear indication of bin Laden's network tactical flexibility and willingness to go beyond traditional delivery means and targets. Size also distinguishes bin Laden's network from many terrorist groups. The recently disrupted Greek radical group, November 17th, for example, contained fewer than 50 people. According to Hoffman, the Japanese Red Army and the Red Brigades both had fewer than 100 dedicated members. Even the Irish Republican Army, one of the most formidable terrorist organizations in the 1970s and 80s, had no more than 400 activists. Arresting and prosecuting members of these groups was an effective way to end or lessen the threat they posed. Although the number of highly skilled and dedicated persons who have sworn fealty to bin Laden was probably in the low hundreds before September 11th, the organization as a whole is much larger, with tens of thousands having gone through the training camps in Afghanistan. Its organizational and command structures, which employ many activists who are not formal members of the organization, make it difficult to determine where al-Qaeda ends and other radical groups begin. Media reports indicate that al-Qaeda had trained thousands of activists in Sudan and Afghanistan, and interviews of intelligence officials indicate that al-Qaeda can draw on thousands of supporters when raising funds, planning, and executing attacks.